Thanks for joining us here on Market Day Report. I'm Marlon Bowling with you, ready to kick off another trading day. And for a little extra expert help here, we're going to turn to Rich Nelson of Allendale Incorporated in McHenry, Illinois, and he joins us by phone right now. Of course, Rich, the big item after yesterday's close, we got USDA's latest weekly edition of our crop progress and condition reports. And this time around, we're focusing on the harvest progress. And I believe we have the national summary of numbers here for the key crops for everybody. So running down the list, in case anybody missed it yesterday, here's a look on the corn harvest. We now stand at 11% complete now. That compares to the 5-year average of 17%. So this crop is still running behind the normal pace. Soybeans 10% complete. The 5-year average is 12. Looks like the cotton had 14% out of the field. The 5-year average 9. They're actually a little ahead. Grain sorghum 32% done. That's about right on par with their average pace of 33%. Peanuts 12% complete, and that is right on schedule. So I wanted to get your thoughts here, Rich, on what you thought of those numbers. I had heard rumors the corn harvest was rumored to be about 14%.
That's exactly right. The trade estimate going into these numbers here was 14% for corn. So USDA's 11% estimate was maybe quite a bit lower than the trade guess. Soybeans only 10% done. The trade estimate was 11 there. So on both corn and soybeans, a little behind the trade estimate. As an example here for Illinois, 11% done, normally 24%. I got to say, I actually do think these numbers seem a little low. Through some trips I made this weekend through much of Illinois, I would have guessed the number is actually a little bit higher than that. So as it stands, maybe a little disappointing here, but I don't know if we'll get the trade too excited here today based on these numbers.
I know, Rich, I spoke with another analyst yesterday that was surprised to see soybeans being cut in eastern Wisconsin, of all places. So if it was that far north, that was a bit of a shock to a lot of folks to see that it's almost all across the Corn Belt from south to north already. Looking ahead now at today's trade, now you would think with the numbers behind schedule like that, that would have been friendly to the market. But it looks like overnight we had a softer tone again in the corn and soybeans.
That's certainly right here. And so as far as news, still kind of pointing out that the trade feels we still have to deal with some supply issues here for this next Friday grain stocks report lined up here. So that might be an issue to look at there. Also, this lower trade we're seeing here today runs counter to some of the news we saw overnight. In fact, 8.4 million tons of soybean imports was brought in by China here in August. That was 10% over last year. So some good news on top of what should have been some disappointing or surprising harvest numbers, not giving this trade much upside this morning.
So overnight, corn was down fractionally. Soybeans down about 3 1/4 on the November contract at 968. And on the wheat trade, a little firmer tone in Chicago and Kansas City overnight. The December Chicago wheat up 2 3/4 at 456 3/4. Have they just pushed the wheat market down far enough, long enough to where it has to bounce a little bit?
I think that's the case right now. We are actually seeing some value-based buyers start to show up here on the world front. So I do think that, yes, even though we do have plenty of negative news from the Eastern Europe production, Russia production, those issues, I think the trade is saying, hey, with our problems with the U.S., Canada, and Australia, all lower crops than last year, maybe we can argue that we're finding some value now.
Okay, now taking a look at our cotton crop here on the December new crop cotton futures, we're now showing a last trade overnight of 68.87 per pound. That would be down 59 points. Now, yesterday the market was a little bit higher in anticipation of heavy rains, I understand, in the western part of Texas, where the key production areas are nationwide. Rich, thanks for helping us weigh in on the markets here this morning before we get things opened up. I appreciate it. We'll talk to you again soon.
Sounds great. Thank you so much.
Rich Nelson of Allendale. We'll be back in just a moment, and we'll analyze what's going on in your livestock trade, what to look forward to today when we come back.